Welcome back to Honest Straightforward Reviews. Today I'm really excited to wake up to great news from Amd Radeon processors, GPUs. They've just announced that they're going to be releasing the RX 6700 XT, which has been in the rumor mill for about a week, and I'm super excited to bring to you a quick video as to what they have released. So without further ado, let's get this started. So AMD started this by actually patting themselves on the back and saying basically in start of 2019 how they introduced anti-lag, which is quite useful, especially for high-end gaming and for 2K and things like that. I've noticed that when I have it off and playing Fortnite at 2K, it's really bad. It's not as smooth. However, when I have it on, it's really smooth. The next thing they talked about was Amd Radeon Boost, which brings responsiveness with performance. So what it does is basically it boosts the image a little bit more. To be honest, the second one, I didn't see much improvement by turning it off and on. Maybe you would, but I haven't. They later talk about how they, at the end of 2020, they introduced SAM, and they did a good job by making it mainstream and accessible. However, they have it only AMD to AMD, whereas Nvidia has AMD both to AMD CPUs and to Intel. What they did announce, which was a good thing, that basically they're going to be introducing SAM to not only obviously already to the Ryzen 5000 processors, but also the Ryzen 3000 processors, but only with the GPUs that are 6000 series. So the 6000 series GPUs will work with 3000 CPUs, but not like 5700 XT or anything like that. Now then they follow through with the Amd Radeon Rx 6700 XT. So it's down from, so comparing this to the 6800 graphic card, which was the lowest graphic card you could get for the 6000 series, it's gone from 60 compute units on the 6800 to down to 40 compute units on the 6700 XT. The gaming clock is really impressive. I would love to see what this means for gaming. It's gone up to 24 megahertz gaming clock. Up to the infinity hash has been dropped down to 96 instead of 128. The VRAM is really impressive. I am really happy to see 12 gigabytes. That is really future-proof for something this cheap and this low. Okay, so it's a really low entry-level graphic card, so I'm really liking it, because if you look at what it's going to be competing against, it's going to be competing against the RTX 3060 and 3070, both of which have 8 gigabytes of memory, whereas this has 12. Okay, and the board power it'll be sucking is 230. Then AMD talked about how 1440p or 2K gaming has really grown and everyone is really buying it. Nearly 50% of the market is playing at 2K gaming. If you want to know more about 2K gaming and why it's so good and why everyone is choosing it, I have a video in the comments and I'll link it in the end as well. You can have a look at that, what I researched and found for 2K gaming. Also guys, please comment and let me know what you guys think about Nvidia's decision to only go with 8 gigs on the RTX 3060 and 3070, and what you think about the RTX 6700 XT having 12 gigs of VRAM. They further talk about the importance of having a high refresh rate monitor and how the market has really grown in that segment in 2K as well, and they're saying that basically that's why they're introducing 6700 XT. They also talk about how the fan, even though it's just 2 fans, how they've improved it, and it's not only quieter but also a lot cooler as well, which is what I would love to get my hands on and check and test out. The fans are custom designed dual axle fans, which reduces sound by the noise levels by about 50% when compared to the 5700 XT. They also have the 0 RPM fan noise. So for example, if the GPU is not under stress and not really being used, what it means is the fan would be turned off completely. I'm not a big fan of that. I rather have the fan idle around 60 RPMs or something like that. That's 16 RPMs or 16% to be honest. Now underneath, they've also changed some of the design by optimizing heat pipes and fins. They've introduced 3 of them, which is connected to a single die-cast aluminum frame. The card features another 11 phases for high efficiency and high performance for very high clock speeds. They feature a 2-layer of 2-ounce copper PCB, which is a 10-layer PCB. This also saying that they're using a phase-changing thermal interface material that is very reliant. As stated, they have 12 GDDR6 memory, which is an older version of what the RTX 3000 series is using, which is the GDDR6X, and it's also got PCIe Express 4.0 support. Now, an interesting point to note, they have introduced 2 power pins, however one's 8 and one's a 6-pin power connect, which is different to the 6000 series, as in the 6800 and above, which have 2 8-pin connectors for power. Now other than that, they have introduced DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2.1 as well onto these cards. So that's what's under the hood. Let's move on to performance. Now, what NVIDIA compared the 6700 XT with its 12 gig of RAM to the RTX 2080 and the GTX 2070 Ti, and it had them beat in maximum settings at 2K. Which is a great feat, but I would like you guys to take that with a grain of salt, because realistically, if you're looking to buy this GPU, you're going to pit it against the RTX 3070. Okay. Interestingly, they didn't include the performance for those. So what does that mean? Now, the next set of slides that they talk about is how games at maximum settings with 2K are very VRAM hungry, so they need more than 8 gigs of VRAM, which is interesting to see, and I agree. I think having 8 gigs of VRAM is really low on a modern GPU. I would have really loved RTX 3070 to come up with at least 12 gig of VRAM, and the RTX 3080 to have something around 14 to 16 gig VRAM. But having said that, NVIDIA is focusing on a lot more and offers a lot more other features that AMD misses out on. Then after that, they also talk about max settings 2K, and this time they did the right thing by comparing the RTX 3060 Ti, which has 8 gigs, 3060, the non-Ti version has 12, and the RTX 3070, which again has 8 gigs, and they compared it against the 6700 XT, and they were showing how those graphic cards are beat at some games. They also talk about and touch a little bit on ray tracing and say that the RTX 6700 XT has 40 ray tracing accelerators. They then talk about the next generation hybrid visual enhancements, which they called Fidelity Fx. Fidelity Fx, in simple terms, is AMD's answer to NVIDIA's DLSS 2.0. This thing is not available as of yet, right to date, which is really disappointing to see. Now, towards the end of the video, they'll talk about how they've introduced anti-lag for DirectX 12 as well, and how they're going to be covering everything from here on. They also later on towards the end talk about AMD FreeSync, which is basically the same technology as NVIDIA's G-Sync. Now, last but not least, they talk about the pricing. So this is MSRP, which we all know means absolutely nothing given the history of past 6 months of GPU releases. We've seen prices nearly double, if not 30% markup. So anyways, the MSRP would be around $479, which I feel like it's a bit steep, you know, especially given the 6800 XT is supposed to only cost $100 more than this. I would have liked to see around a $450 to $400 price mark for this, and they're saying that it's going to be available on the 18th of March. Now, what they're trying to sell to us as customers, AMD, which I think is a noble thing, I think it'll be useful. They're saying that for the first time that the AMD reference cards, the AIB cards, are going to be released together. Okay, so you'll have a lot more stock available all together, meaning hopefully you can get your hands on them before a bot or a miner can. AMD then talks about how if you don't want to build your own PC and want to buy a pre-built system, which nobody does, I think some people do, how the Omen PC and other pre-built systems are going to be launching at the end of this month. They also hinted that soon they will be introducing the RX 6000 series in laptops as well, which is exciting to hear. Alright guys, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed that video and found it informative. I can't wait to get my hand on these graphic cards and test them out. If you liked the video, please do give it a like. It helps spread the word. Also consider subscribing because it'll help me as a channel. If you want to look at other videos while you wait for me to get my hands on this card, I've got a lot of videos in the channel comparing the different GPUs around. I've also linked them in the comments below, so you can find them at your own ease. Alright guys, thanks for watching. You have a great day. Bye bye.